And good morning. You're tuned in to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, wordradio.com, and you're tuning into the Education Pulse, hosted by Dr. Height at the moment. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Height. Dr. Height, good morning.
Good morning, Jordan. Thank you for the introduction, and good morning to everyone who's listening. This show about this educational Pulse, this episode of Education Pulse is going to be all about the Octavius Cotto Scholarship, and we're really excited to have some colleagues from the Community College, the Mayor's Office of Education. We're going to even have a couple of Cotto scholars who are going to come in later in the show just to give us a perspective. And so I'm going to talk about and introduce those guests in a minute, but as we normally do on these radio shows, I want to provide a brief update about some information around the School District of Philadelphia. And these were some updates that we just announced toward the end of the week, and I just wanted to make sure that the listening audience had this information first, and then we'll get into this show's topic, all about the Octavius Cotto scholarships. And so first and foremost, summer programming. School District of Philadelphia this year is expanding our opportunities for this summer, and we'll be offering something for students in every grade. This is very different than what has been done in the past. We've only had a dozen schools or so open. This year we could have up to 40 schools open and another 100 that have partnership programs for children, not to just engage in educational types of activities, but also engage in activities around the arts, around sports and athletics, around the environment, and around the waterworks here in Philadelphia. So there are lots of things for young people to do this summer, and we want to make sure everyone has that information. And this is made available through a lot of partnerships with the city and other local organizations. These opportunities, as I indicated earlier, will combine project-based learning with extracurricular programming. And the whole point of this is to provide a fun and safe environment for students to continue learning during the summer months, and also to give parents some assurance that children will have a place to go. Many of these opportunities will be in-person experiences for our young people, and the programs, as I indicated before, will take place in person at, we know, at least 24 schools across the city, in children who are entering grades 1 through 12. And based on registration, we will be able to open up to 40 schools, total schools throughout the city of Philadelphia. And we're going to make sure these schools are structured throughout the city as well. Program options will include pre-K and kindergarten. And these are transition programs to provide instruction for the earliest learners and help families and children feel more confident about starting school in the fall. And we're planning to start school in the fall in person. So we want children to come full-time in person starting in the fall. These will also be for children who are entering grades 1 through 8. And this will be for additional help in English language arts and math, but it'll also be project-based learning, art, music, health and physical education, those types of programs. We also have, and will traditionally have had, extended school year programs, or ESY programs that we call. These are programs that serve students who require special education supports and services. And this is designed so that these young people can maintain their progress and meet their most critical goals as determined by the student's individualized education plan. Also, there are programs for English language learners, specifically newcomers and students with limited or interrupted formal education. And we'll have English language development programs also available. We also do traditionally a summer bridge program option, and that has now been expanded to include more grades, not just 12th graders or rising 12th, but children in grades 9 and 10 as well as a quarter 5 program. This is a whole nother grading period that will be done in the summer. This is designed for high school students entering grades 10, 11, and 12, and current seniors who may have failed or are failing a course during this school year. And they will have additional time to improve those grades, gain mastery, content skills, and work towards proficiency as they work to earn the credits to either stay on track or to graduate. Additionally, we're going to have a lot of career immersion programs. We're expanding those programs for students in career and technical education so that there are specific major or career work experiences that our young people can do. And so this is on top of the normal job programs that we have for our youth during the summer. In addition, we have programs like the program at Penn that is for all 11th grade students. It's going to be offered to all 11th grade students free of charge. And that is a program that provides students with the opportunity to begin preparing for college if those young people are interested in doing so. So we made that announcement. Go on our website, www.philasd.org, for more information. There's literally something for everyone. Our whole goal is to ensure that we have activities for young people to engage in this summer because they've been in a digital environment for most of this school year. Another update is really about the Pennsylvania PEBT, or debit cards. And so these benefits to families of school-age children who have not had access to free or reduced price meals because of school closures are eligible. All families in the school district of Philadelphia are eligible for this benefit. And it is a PEBT benefit. Families who currently receive the EBT benefits will begin noticing the additional funds for each of their district students added to their existing EBT cards. That should begin in May. For those who do not currently receive EBT benefits, the state will mail a PEBT card to the household address on file at the school district. So if there's no address on file or that address is incorrect, individuals need to contact the school district, your child's school, to make sure we have the most accurate information about your address. If in fact your address is correct, families don't have to do anything. The card will be mailed to you. I wanted to remind everyone, however, that PEBT benefits are a program of the state of Pennsylvania. The school district does not distribute any funds or the benefit cards, and we unfortunately cannot answer any questions about when the benefits will arrive. The only thing we provide are the addresses of all of our students and their families to the state of Pennsylvania. And finally, before we get into our show, yesterday we launched a public-facing dashboard. And that dashboard is really designed to show critical information about positive COVID cases in our schools, along with the results of mandatory testing that is happening in our schools with all students and staff. Actually, it's 20% of the students and all staff, and it happens on a weekly basis. While we have been constantly notifying school staff and families whenever there's a positive case in their building, the district-wide snapshot provides greater transparency across all buildings. Specifically, the dashboard will show the total number of staff and students who tested as part of their COVID-19 asymptomatic testing program in schools, as well as the number of positive results from these tests. The total number of positive staff and students by school since our students returned to buildings on March 8th. So those are the updates I wanted to get in front of everyone. And now I want to move to the contents of our program and to introduce some of our guests. And we'll begin this conversation as a part of the first segment. We'll go to a commercial break and then come back, continue this conversation. And then in the final segment, we'll have some students who are Cato, some community college students who are Cato scholars to also come to share their perspective. So the Cato Scholarship, and I know if people are not familiar with this was a part of Mayor Kenney's commitment to his anti-poverty initiative. And through a partnership between the Community College of Philadelphia and the City of Philadelphia, they as in the city, launched the Octavius Cato Scholarship that will ultimately benefit an estimated 6,500 students over 5 years. This will make Community College of Philadelphia, or CCP, tuition free. That's right, I said free. Tuition free for eligible full-time students and drastically improve college access, and we hope, as a result of that, persistence. So today's guest will share details on the scholarship program, who's eligible, and its impact with the first cohort of students that were announced in January of this year. And so with that, I want to introduce the first set of guests who we will talk to about this fantastic program that exists here in Philadelphia. First and foremost, we have with us this morning Dr. David Thompson. Dr. Thompson is the Vice President of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement at the Community College of Philadelphia. Dr. Thompson, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Dr. Hyde. Good morning, guests. How is everyone?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. We also have one of Dr. Thomas's colleagues from the community college, and that is Dr. Aubrey Nance. And Dr. Nance is the Associate Director of the Cato Scholarship Program. Dr. Nance, thank you for being with us as well.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Hyde.
Indeed. And then certainly we needed someone from the mayor's office because they were the group that started this. And we are thrilled also to have, I believe, on the phone with us, the Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office of Education, Otis Hackney. Otis, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dr. Hyde. Great to be
here. Thanks all of you for being here this morning. And I want to start with Dr. Thomas and Otis. In January, this past January, you welcomed the first cohort of Cato scholars. Talk about the journey and vision and the vision that got us here. And why is this opportunity for Philadelphia's students so important? And why now and why Octavius Cato?
Certainly. I actually want to lobby the vision portion over to Otis so he can kind of lay that out, and then I'll talk about some specifics.
So good morning again, everyone. When it talked about the vision, it was something that first was very important to Mayor Kenney. He is a huge fan of Octavius Cato. Anyone that knows Jim Kenney knows that he is a big supporter of Cato. And so with the initial investments that the Kenney administration has made in education, especially around pre-K and community schools in the first term, we wanted to make sure that we were also doing something for higher ed. And so we wanted to make sure that we could work with CCP, the city's college, to build out this initiative, name it after a famous Philadelphian, and we're also trying to elevate his name even more with the scholarship. Because Cato was, people are known that he was killed when he was trying to get men to vote here in the city of Philadelphia, but he was also an educator. And so we're just really excited that we were able to partner with CCP to launch this scholarship. And I know there's a lot more details about the eligibility and, it being free and basic needs support that students will be able to receive, if they become a Cato scholar at CCP.
Thanks, Otis. And Dr. Thomas, so from the community college's perspective, this scholarship opportunity is bigger than just providing tuition assistance for students. And so can you talk more about the other benefits of the scholarship program?
Certainly. The scholarship program, again, as you said, is much bigger than just tuition assistance, and I don't say tuition assistance and just as if that's small, that's a big piece as well. But in addition to that, what we did is we took over a year of planning to really map out what this scholarship should entail for students. And a lot of data tells us that various things that impede student success are their lack of ability to access transportation, basic need supports, those things. So this scholarship is actually full of wraparound supports in the form of tuition assistance, assistance for basic needs such as transportation, food, those sorts of things that students can receive in stipends monthly, as well as a dedicated set of staff that work with students. So we have wraparound case management supports in the form of success coaches and student navigators. Dr. Nance, as well as her boss, executive director, Dr. Volts, provide visionary leadership for the program and for the students that are in the program. And that is layered over top of the current plethora of benefits and resources that the college already offers to all of our students. So you name it, the supports are there for students so that they can be successful.
Thanks, Dr. Thomas. And to the listening audience, you're hearing from Dr. David Thomas, the VP of Strategic Initiatives at the Community College and Community Engagement for the Community College of Philadelphia. We also have on the phone Otis Hackney, the Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office of Education, and we're about to hear from Dr. Aubrey Nance, the Associate Director of the Cato Scholarship. And I heard Dr. Nance talk about all of these supports that are in place. Why is it also important to have all of these other supports in place, not just the cost of tuition?
These supports, the research tells us, about all of the things the students need that are outside of just the cost of tuition. So we provide these wraparound supports to make sure that we are proactively addressing any barriers that students may be running into. We have students who have emotional support issues and they need help with that. Issues with overcoming barriers with financial aid. Making sure that if they run into anything academically, there's somebody that's there to coach them through the process, whether it's talking to professors or, meeting with their advisors. And the key is being proactive. We talk to these students, they have to meet with their success coaches at least twice a month. And in those conversations, we get information that we wouldn't normally get. We're usually reactive. They have to come to the counseling office or they have to come to an advisor when they're having trouble. But we're catching these issues ahead of time. And all the research, points to that being the most effective way to deal with, students who are first generation, students of color, and so we're providing those wraparound. We also have an assigned advisor that will be working with students. We have an assigned financial aid provider, and we have a single stop office that helps connect students to any benefits, any government benefits that they may be eligible for, in addition to rental assistance, utility assistance. And again, because we're being so proactive with these students, we find out about these issues before they become, oh, I have to withdraw because, I lost my housing, and so, we're dealing with these issues head on, and these students are getting a full, staff of support, and we have already seen the benefits that come from that. We have students who, they come to us. I was crying with a student on the phone yesterday because she had deaths in her family and, she, shut down essentially for a few weeks. But because we've been persistent in calling her and reaching out, she sent me a text message and I was able to get on the phone with her yesterday and figure out a plan for how we can move forward, with her. And that would not have happened before. She would have been a student that we just lost.
Dr. Nance, thank you so much for talking about all of those resources, because many individuals hear that, hey, you provide tuition, that should be enough. But right. What you just described and gave examples of are real issues that many of the young people in cities like Philadelphia, this is not just a Philadelphia problem, but I mean, it is more acute in cities like in Philadelphia. But there are various challenges and barriers that our young people face as they try to get an education. And so many things can throw them off track. And you just mentioned death in the family, losing a place to live, having to meet other obligations. And so these supports are so critically important, and I just really appreciate the fact that the Cato Scholarship takes all of these things into consideration as we think about supports for young people.
And I also want to mention that in addition to the tuition in terms monetarily, the students also get basic needs funding. Because of the pandemic and everybody is online, students are receiving a $250 stipend every month to help out with food and to also help out with any transportation needs they may have. And so we're looking at that as well, because we know tuition is not the end of it. These students, still need support, with getting to and from school, getting, at this point, making sure that their internet connections are being supported. And so the scholarship also provides funding for that they get every month to help out with those things, and they get free books. So we are providing, book credit for students, and we will pay for all of their books for every semester they're at the college. And so that is a big relief for a lot of our students as well.
Thank you, Dr. Nance. And to the listening audience, we're hearing from Dr. Aubrey Nance, Associate Director, Cato Scholarship at the Community College of Philadelphia, also from Dr. David Thomas, the VP of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement, and Otis Hackney, the Chief Education Officer. We're talking about the Cato Scholarship and the significant support it provides to young people here in Philadelphia to make college possible, and making sure that they have access to not just the finances, but all of the resources needed to be successful. We're going to go to a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more about Cato Scholarship and all of the supports that are being offered both from the mayor, City of Philadelphia, and from the Community College of Philadelphia.
We are people of resilience, so let's protect our lives with vaccines we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
Join WURD Radio for our 6th annual Jackie Robinson Day live broadcast. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Hosted by Charles Ellison and Andrea Lawful Sanders. In celebration of Jackie Robinson, who revolutionized Major League Baseball by breaking racial barriers. This year, we're taking a look at how Robinson and other black athletes have played a pivotal role in advocating for social justice. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio's special Jackie Robinson Day celebration is brought to you by Pico, Brown's Family ShopRite, and the Family Business Partners, Her's Snack Food, Amoroso's, and Dietz & Watson.
Tune in this Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Gastrology Conversation Show, providing information and understanding about your colon health with Dr. Stephen Blake.
Remember the last time your family visited the forest? It's a place of wonder and imagination for the whole family, where stories come to life, and it's closer than you think. Ready to plan your next visit? Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
To WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
And we're back. You're tuning into the Education Pulse, coming to you every other Saturday. And I'm passing over to Dr. Hyde again.
Thanks, Jordan. And on this episode of Education Pulse, we're talking about the Octavius Cato Scholarship that is available at the Community College of Philadelphia, and it's made available through efforts that that were put forward by Mayor in the mayor's Mayor Kinney and in his last budget. And so we are joined today by guests from the Community College of Philadelphia, Dr. Thomas, the VP of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement, Dr. Aubrey Nance, Associate Director of the Cato Scholarship, and Otis Hackney, the Chief Education Officer from the city of Philadelphia. And so, Otis, I want to come back to you because individuals think that these things just happen. And I know when the mayor introduced this BOLD initiative, it was part of a larger plan to strengthen pre-K to college, that continuum. And so, but also a commitment to address significant obstacles many Philadelphians face, especially those living in poverty. Can you tell us a little bit about why this scholarship opportunity is beneficial to the city of Philadelphia?
Thank you for that question. And you've heard, we have some history, Dr. Height, in terms of, you've heard me talk about high expectations, high support. So when we think about the obstacles that, Philadelphians face in terms of educational, access and achievement, we wanted to build out an opportunity that would support students and to deal with some of those challenges that are outside of the academic. So, there are the coaches and tutors that the city is funding with CCP, but we wanted to make sure that those supports were in place because, and as a former principal, I know the challenges that young people face or Philadelphians face in terms of, those obstacles that get in the way of or that allow them to focus on education. So that is just something that we wanted to do. We care about education. We care about the future of our city. And we know that if our residents are on a pathway to an associate's degree, that puts them in a better position than just having a high school diploma. That helps, even as we think about, the pandemic, how do you make sure that your job is pandemic proof? And so getting them on that pathway so that way they can increase their skills, educational opportunities, and change the trajectory of or financial impact in their household. So that's why, we just wanted to build on that continuum from pre-K to CCP. So now theoretically you could have a Philadelphia resident who has a child that can take advantage of free pre-K in the city. And also now, after they drop their child off, they now go to CCP for free education with additional support to help them. And so we just wanted to make sure that we were looking at that continuum so that way our residents felt like, their tax dollars were going to services that would definitely move the needle for so many Philadelphians.
Yeah, no, really appreciate that, Otis. And as you talked about a couple of things, you reminded me of something that you and I have talked about before. And we're talking to Otis Hackney, Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office of Education. But Otis, thinking about, not just thinking about K-12 education, but thinking about it more from the perspective of K-14 or K-16 and thinking about it on a continuum so that because we all know that regardless of if children want to go to college or into the work world, they're going to need some form of post-secondary education in order to be successful. And so really appreciate that perspective of not just thinking about K-12 and then once the child graduates from high school, we just say, okay, we're done. But with this BOLD initiative, individuals will also have support through the associate's degree and beyond in some cases.
Yes. And so we're, like I said, we're excited about being able to do that. I can tell you from my own experience that, when I finished high school, I went away for school. I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't ready. And sometimes CCP really is an amazing option. And I was able to take advantage and come back and go to CCP. It allowed me time to mature, to be a better student before I moved on and went to Temple. And so, I have benefited from opportunities like this. I actually got a last dollar scholarship when I was, making that transition. And so being able to live that through and now being in a position to help bring that to life for so many others is just, incredible to me. But I also want to make sure that folks that are listening that this scholarship is not just for students right out of high school. I think, and Dr. Nance can correct me, I think we have a student that's like 55 years old. If you're a resident of the city of Philadelphia, you can come back to school and say, you know what, I've never gone to school, college, I've always wanted to go. If you're if you meet our eligibility requirements, you can participate in this scholarship. So we do want to let adults know that it is open for them as well.
Very important point, Otis. Thank you for sharing that. And actually, Dr. Nance, I wanted to come back to you. And so how does one apply for the scholarship, and what are the requirements?
So the best part of this is there's no application for the scholarship.
That's
You
awesome.
have to apply to CCP. You apply to CCP, and once you have done that and given us your information, we find you. So we actually run a report of students who meet the eligibility criteria, and that is being a Philadelphia resident, graduating from a high school in Philadelphia. And we look at your financial aid to see if you have the EFC, and that's the expected family contribution of less than $8,000. Once those things are met, we find you and we sign you up for the scholarship. There's no additional application. However, students can go to our website, and we do have a recruitment form on there just to try to make that a little bit more of a proactive process if students want to. But if you meet the criteria, as long as you apply to the college, we will find you. You'll get emails, text messages, phone calls. We search high and low. In fact, in the very beginning of this, some students thought we were pranking them because we were calling them saying, hey, this money is here for you, and all you need to do is just agree to it, and that's it. So there's no essay you have to write, no hoops you have to jump through, just being a Philly resident, graduating from Philadelphia High School, and meeting the EFC requirements, and that's it. We reach out and we get you signed up for the scholarship.
Thank you for sharing that. And I want to thank Otis for also sharing the fact that this is not just for children right out of high school. It could be almost anyone. And I'll just add to that, because you talked about a graduate from a Philadelphia high school, that we also in the School District of Philadelphia have a program that is entitled Never Too Late to Graduate. And if you are a resident of the city of Philadelphia, you can actually come back and get your high school diploma at no charge to you if you're a resident of the city. And so here are two programs, both in the the School District of Philadelphia and at the community college, that will actually provide additional support for individuals who may be interested in applying for the Cato Scholarship. So, Dr. Nance, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to add too, we talked about the FAFSA and the EFC, but undocumented students, students who, are not able to complete the FAFSA, we have a process for them as well. So again, on our website, it talks about that process, and they can also email us to get more information. So undocumented students who may have been incarcerated and they cannot get financial aid, they can apply to the college, and they can also receive the scholarship as well. So, again, yes, Otis is correct. We have a student who's 55. The student that you'll be talking to later on today, Chelsea, she's 30 years old, so, it is not, as long as you have not attended college before or technical school before, you can get this scholarship. So now's the time to come back, and be able to get these benefits, and not only the benefits of the money, but the support is out here. So, that student that he was talking about, that's 55, he has some trouble navigating the computer, and our coach spent hours, on the phone and on Zoom, trying to help him figure that out. So that's what our coaches are for. And those things that, a traditional, college experience, you wouldn't have that kind of support. But the coaches are able to do that and walk students through those types of issues.
This is an incredibly thoughtful program that provides the necessary resources for individuals to be successful. In fact, any barrier that an individual has thought about, that you actually address the issues and proactively, so that those barriers could be removed, so that individuals could receive that support. So once again, I just want to acknowledge the fine work that you've done at the community college in setting up this structure. And we heard from Otis Hackney the Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office of Education, why this was so critically important. And we were hearing just now from Dr. Aubrey Nance, Associate Director of the Cato Scholarship at the Community College of Philadelphia, as we're talking about the Cato Scholarship as a part of Education Pulse today. And so, Dr. Nance, one other question. So, the show 2 weeks ago focused on Black teacher engagement. And we were talking about from high school to college to a classroom pipeline. And Dr. Nance, I understand that CCP is also working on an initiative, 2+1 Teach Pipeline. Can you share more information about that program?
Sure, and this is brand new. We are still in the process of putting this together, but what we're looking at doing is trying to create a pipeline of students who, in our dual enrollment program, so recruiting students in dual enrollment, talking to them about the prospect of becoming educators, and getting them in a program that's going to put them on that track. So taking the classes, college classes in high school that are going to lead them to education degrees going forward. And the hope would be they go into our dual enrollment program, start their education courses, they transition into the Cato Scholarship to continue that program, and then we're helping them move forward into that. So, trying to get these students interested, because the students, teachers are needed, and we need to develop that interest early on, and so we're working on a plan to develop that pipeline, and right now it's called the 2+1 initiative, and we are at the grassroots creating that program, but it's something that I know the city supports. Dr. Thomas has been very integral in making sure that is taking place, and we are working really hard to put together all the stakeholders that are needed to move that forward.
Thanks, Dr. Nance, for describing that. And it's just another example of how supportive and aligned the Community College of Philadelphia has been in trying to organize our collective work, and the city of Philadelphia to organize our collective work to deal with these issues that have been persistent in Philadelphia for a long time. And so just love that program. And we think that we will be the ultimate beneficiaries, but more importantly, our students and families would be the ultimate beneficiaries, because they will see more individuals who look like them from their communities who are teaching in their classrooms. And so just thank you once again for that. So I want to close this segment with just a question to both Otis and to Dr. Thomas. You are both lifelong educators, and as Black men, why is it necessary to create programs like the one Dr. Nance just spoke to? And we know this is not a conversation unique to just Philadelphia around having teachers that look like you in the classroom. But from your perspective, why is this so important?
Certainly. It's extremely important for various reasons. I think one of the more important reasons is looking at the data and the research. We know what the research tells us about individuals who go through their educational experience and never see themselves as an educator, right? Just always being the educated. We do realize that very often that impacts a student's ability to complete because they can't see themselves in the picture. I think another piece that is extremely important, being again, to your point, Dr. Hite, me being a lifelong educator, so many things I used to see in my classrooms when I was teaching around students who did not know that they actually had the innate ability to be teachers, right? Yep. They didn't understand the transferable skills. Literally, I used to work when I was at Fitzsimons High School. I had a lot of my boys who were there, and they would literally be pontificating at the lunch table, right? And they had no idea that that was a teaching skill. That was a transferable skill. But very often what turns them off to school and being a teacher is their experience in school, right? Yep. You have to be able to get them to parse those two pieces out. They also used to always say, teachers don't make any money. And Otis used to tell me all the time, which is a great point. He said, no, education has a floor, but it really doesn't have a ceiling, right? You're looking at where people start, not where you finish. So those are the things I think that are really important for us to get in front of young Black and brown males and females and say, listen, sometimes you have to understand the education and the teaching profession needs to be repackaged in a way where young people can see themselves in that role and see themselves as influential and successful in those roles.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Otis, anything you want to add to that point?
Dave covered a lot of it, but yes, as a former teacher as well, I mean, I think we just have to really elevate the profession in our communities again. Philadelphia had a strong tradition. If you look at, famous Philadelphians from, in previous generations, a lot of foundationally they were educators. And so, they played a significant role in, the Black community in the city of Philadelphia. And so it is just regaining or building upon that legacy again and strengthening it, and especially in the context of, social justice today. I tell folks one of the most powerful vehicles for social justice is education. So we can try to, do what we want to do in politics and elevate certain issues. But if we don't have an educated community, then all of that is for naught. And so we want to make sure that if there are people that from our communities who are interested in education, what are the resources and push that you need to go into this space, but also who are the mentors? So, building out a pipeline for mentors as well and making sure they're there to support students along that journey. We're looking at building in opportunities while they're college students or students that are interested in college to work during the summers with young people, to work on literacy and numeracy skills and develop the pedagogical skills that they're going to need to one day when they walk into a classroom, hopefully in the school district of Philadelphia, that they're going to be ready from day one. And so that is just part of a journey. And once again, it was part of my experience coming up as an educator, and we're just trying to map that out for people to make it as easy as possible, so that way they can go in and really support students and really help them and develop more educators, because it needs to be an ongoing pipeline. So we're working really closely with CCP and a number of external partners to build out that teacher pipeline, to diversify classrooms in the city, and just looking forward to, and partnering with the district to make that happen.
Thanks, Otis. We really appreciate that support as well. And to your point, I think we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, that, if you're thinking about social justice, you should be thinking about teaching, because that could be the point of influence, and getting our young people to think about it that way also could be very helpful as a part of the reframing of educators. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to Otis Hackney, Chief Education Officer from the City of Philadelphia, Dr. Aubrey Anance, who's done some incredible work as Associate Director of the Cotto Scholarship at the Community College of Philadelphia, and Dr. David Thomas, the VP of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement, also at the Community College of Philadelphia. We will go to break now, but when we come back, we'll hear from two Cotto scholars who are current students at the Community College of Philadelphia. So we'll go to break and come right back.
Temple University, Philadelphia's public university, is committed to meaningful change that resonates throughout our community. We are investing more than $1 million in anti-racism education and programming, including creating a Center for Anti-Racism Research, developing a bridge program for high school students in North Philadelphia, and expanding our Department of Africology and African American Studies, which is the first in the country to offer a doctoral program. Our students are the next generation of innovators and leaders championing a better tomorrow. WURD is supported by Temple University, Philadelphia's public university. At Temple, we aim to make college accessible for all. That's why we launched the Cecil B. Moore Scholars Program, a bridge program for high school students in North Philadelphia that offers pre-college support, including tutoring, career exploitation, and the opportunity to take a free course at Temple. It's part of our commitment to cultivate leaders from our city and to support all students in reaching their full potential.
Livelihood. WURD Radio's new initiative, connecting Black Philadelphians with jobs, entrepreneurship resources, small business development information, and financial literacy tools. Learn more at wordworks.com. That's WURD-WORKS.com. And stay tuned to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kid Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer, and about 40% 20% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
COVID vaccines are here, and Black physicians and scientists helped to develop them. So I feel good about getting the vaccine. And with new forms of the virus now spreading, I know we need to keep up everything we're already doing. Masking up, keeping that 6-foot distance, and avoiding crowds. COVID's been doubly tough on us, so let's double down to take it down. We can do this. Learn more about getting the vaccine and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
And we're back. Tuning into the Education Pulse, hosted by Dr. Height every other Saturday. And Dr. Height, it's back to you.
Thanks, Jordan. And for the last segment of this episode of Education Pulse, we are thrilled to have with us two Octavia Cotto scholars. And first, I'd like to introduce Jonathan Collins, a CCP student and Cotto scholar, and Chelsea Hammond, also a CCP student and Cotto scholar as well. And we still have with us Dr. David Thomas, VP of Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement. And this whole episode is talking about Cotto scholarships and the program, this extraordinary program that has been set up here in the city of Philadelphia for students who are interested. So either Chelsea or Jonathan, you have personal stories or testimonies that have led you to this opportunity. Can you tell us briefly about your story, how you came to learn about the scholarship, and what does it mean to you to be among the first cohort to take advantage of this? Do we have them on the line?
They may be a little shy. Let's figure out. I don't know.
So, Dr. Thomas, if you've talked to the students, what are some things that they have shared with you?
Certainly. Some of the things that they've shared is that they did not imagine that this would even be an opportunity for them, right? So I think very often when students hear about college, the first thing they think is it costs too much, it's insurmountable, it's not for me. So the fact that this opportunity was provided to them as a free last dollar scholarship with all the additional wraparound supports, it was kind of like it blew their mind. They couldn't believe it. And then the supports that they've received since they've been there have, I think, doubled down on the fact that they just really couldn't believe that this was a reality for them. The support has been tremendous for many of our students. Chelsea's a rock star. I remember when we first met her, I think one night when she presented at the college's board of trustees with the mayor, everyone was trying to get Chelsea's information after that just to hear her story. And Jonathan, who I affectionately know as Jonathan was actually one of our Gateway to College students before he enrolled here. So Dr. A, he's one of your kids as well, too. Yep. And now he's a Cotto scholar. So we're just extremely happy to have both of them in the program with us.
And I'm not sure they have been able to join Dr. Thomas, and so we may just have to talk more about them than talking to them. I mean, and when you talk about the benefits, and then you and I, we know we're trying to do a lot together with the school district and the community college of Philadelphia. So when we talk about the benefits to these young people, and you just shared that Chelsea was a person who's a rock star and everyone wanted her to get her information. But I mean, specifically, can you give us some specific examples of just kind of how some of them have changed? I mean, some of them, Chelsea or Jonathan, have benefited, or other students have benefited from this opportunity.
Sure. And I think one of them may have joined us now, probably Chelsea, but we'll find out. But I'll answer this question and we'll see who chimes in. So some of the benefits have been specific to being able to actually pay off bills, right? So some real pieces, like the stipend that students receive every month has been extremely helpful. Students have said, you know what, this stipend came right on time because I was about to get evicted and I needed to give this money to my landlord so that I was not on the streets, right? That's been extremely important.
Yeah.
The other piece has been, with us in this COVID environment right now, everything has been a challenge for a lot of students with regard to access to technology. We have laptop loaner programs. We've been able to work with the city as well as other resources to provide internet access for students. So they've been able to access their classes and been able to take their classes and even meet with advisors and things virtually because of the resources and supports that the scholarship has provided them.
That's excellent. And I think Chelsea is on, to your point, Dr. Thomas. Chelsea, have you been able to join us?
Yes, I joined.
Oh, fantastic. Great to have you on this morning. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, and good morning to you.
Good morning. And one of the things I talked about earlier was that both you and Jonathan each have personal stories or testimonies that led you to this opportunity. And can you talk briefly about your story and how you came to learn about the Cato Scholarship, and what does it mean to you to be among the first cohort?
Absolutely. So for me, I actually, I went to a Pennsylvania charter school.
Yep.
It was one of the qualifications, either had been in Philadelphia school or a charter school. So I went to a charter school. And I'm actually 30 years old, so I haven't been in school for a while. I had a bit of a rough life, and, I ended up, really building myself back up and getting back on track. And, finally I was able to get back on my feet. At one point I was homeless in Philadelphia, and now I have my apartment and my car, and now I'm going to school and things are good. When I joined school this semester, I got an email that they had the Cato Scholarship. And that was amazing news to me, because I didn't even have to go looking for it. A lot of these scholarships you have to apply for, and they just contacted me and let me know that I qualified.
That's an excellent story. And we're thrilled to hear that both you now are a recipient of the Cato Scholarship and are able to put the pieces together to move in a different direction. And so as you I know you had an opportunity to join late, but when we were listening to Dr. Thomas earlier and the Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office and Dr. Nance, they talked about the benefits of the scholarship. And what are some specific outcomes you hope to achieve through this scholarship? But more importantly, what are the long-term impacts of continuing your education with support of CCP? And what will that be for you and your family?
So for me, the outcome is that I'm able to focus on my studies, without having to worry so much about, my income, my job, stuff like that. And I've been able to, really have more time to study. And, what was the second part of your question? You said.
Yeah, I mean, the other part of the question was the long-term impacts of continuing your education with the support of CCP, and what could be that impact on you and or your family?
Yes, so for me, it's just me here, but the impact is that, like I said, that I can focus on my studies, but as far as education-wise, it's supportive for several years while I'm in school. I don't have to take out so many loans later on down the road. I won't have so much money to owe back, and it helps me with my books. And I actually was happy to hear that they'll be helping me with the summer classes, and so it's great.
It's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And I know Dr. Thomas is on, and he was talking about you, Chelsea, as being a rock star earlier. And so just want to thank both of you for coming on. I know Jonathan was trying to join and was having some technical difficulties, but one of the things that has emerged as a part of the conversation this morning is we want to make sure individuals understand that if you graduated from a public school, either a school district of Philadelphia school or a public charter school, then you have access to this program. I believe Jonathan was able to join. Jonathan, is that you?
Yeah, this is me. Can you hear me?
Oh, fantastic. And then we only have like a minute. And so can you talk a little bit about your personal story or testimony that led you to this opportunity?
Of course. As you know from earlier, Mr. Dean Thomas, we have, a relationship. And I look at him like a family. So he introduced the Cato Scholarship to me through email. I was getting a whole bunch of emails from Cato. I honestly thought it was a prank as well because like it was actually like free money, and I laughed when she said that. But yeah, my story is I came up from the West Philadelphia area, not really, popular, not really having a bunch of friends, and like everything that everybody else had, and I always stood out, and school was what I really had. And my school that I was going to, it wasn't like really like great as far as like academics and sports. It just didn't feel like school. And I used to go home and watch the TV shows and see their schools, and their schools was just like 10 times better. So for about like 5 years or so, I was just slacking in school, and as far as like middle school towards high school, and I ended up in Gateway to college, and it was the best thing that has ever happened to me, and it changed my whole life. Like I'm so happy for it.
Great. So Jonathan, I know we're out of time, but I mean this is a great point to end our story on, and so thank you for sharing that. And you said something earlier that I'll close with, and then if individuals who are interested in the Cato Scholarship, you just heard Jonathan describe it as free money. And this is free money for you to actually continue your education at the Community College of Philadelphia that's supported by the city of Philadelphia. And so this was a grand vision by the mayor that is being realized for in the experiences of students like Chelsea and Jonathan that we just heard from. So once again, I want to thank Dr. Dave Thomas for the VP of Community Engagement and Strategic Initiatives at the Community College of Philadelphia, Dr. Aubrey Nance, who also is a part of the work around the Cato Scholarship. She directs that program, and Otis Hackney, the Chief Education Officer from the Mayor's Office of Education. And I want to commend Chelsea and Jonathan and encourage both of you to continue with that and continue to talk about this opportunity. This opportunity is available for individuals in the city of Philadelphia, and we encourage anyone who is interested to contact the Community College of Philadelphia. With that, I want to thank our executive producers, Evelyn Semple Oates and Hania Shop Brown, and our in-studio engineer, Jordan Booth. So thank you all for another great episode of Education Pulse.
Thank you, Dr. Height.